Mom without a crystal ball. Welcome to my channel. It's Tuesday afternoon and we're gonna do a happy story because the other two stories that I did today were like super heavy, and I was like, we need to do something kind of uplifting and maybe a little bit more exciting or just happy or just not so down. It's been one of those weeks on this channel, maybe one of those months where everything is so blah. So let's talk about babies. I love babies. I love babies. I only had one baby. That's all I ever wanted. But somebody's like to have lots of babies. Who loves a lot of babies? Who is it in this world that loves lots of babies? The Duggars. Okay, so what do we know about the Duggars? They are famous for having a lot of kids. They have a lot of kids. They have a lot of grandkids. And they like home birth, right? They like to birth at the home. So, which is kind of weird because Michelle Duggar, the mom, she actually had a lot of her babies at the hospital. So I don't know why there's this whole push by the family to have so many at home, but a lot of them have. Jessa's had all three of hers at home. Jill, I think, had hers in the hospital actually. Joy had her first son, Gideon, at home, but her second child that she lost, that was in a hospital. And today she uploaded a video, yesterday actually, on her YouTube called Getting Ready for Baby Girl's Arrival. And in the video, Joanna, who's very young, I think she's only 21, 22 years old, she let us know that she's actually going to be giving birth at the hospital. So she had Gideon at home, and now she's having the second one in the hospital. Now, it's interesting because she actually was, in the very beginning of this pregnancy, she did her video where she sort of revealed that she was pregnant, and they were talking about how there could have been some potential complications because of what happened with her, the loss that she had last summer, and so that they were working with a doctor and it was a little bit different this time. So it could be that she doesn't really have an option and that it's high risk. And if that's the case, then this is a good thing. But it's interesting because in her video, she was talking about how she's never had to actually prepare to go to the hospital. And so she was putting together a bag. So here's what she said.
Gideon, say hi. Hi. So I just got done with my chiropractor appointment. My hips were not aligned super great. So he's doing the Webster technique, trying to help me get ready for the baby so that she will drop and get in position when she needs to. But anyways, I am going to pack my hospital bag today. I've been needing to do this for a little bit, 35 and a half weeks, and so I figured it'd be good to have the bag ready a month out just in case anything happens when we're not expecting it. We can just grab the bag and go. So I don't really know what to pack. I've never packed a hospital bag before. With Gideon, I was doing a home birth, so I didn't have to pack anything.
Okay, so she's going to have a baby in the hospital and she's going to put together a bag. Got it? Now, one of the things that's sort of unique right now is that in this world, that is the germ world, you can't have a lot of people at the hospital, which is making people that have kids, it's a struggle because a lot of people like to be there when babies are born, and right now there are limitations on the number of people that are allowed into hospitals. So one of the things that she brought up was that her sisters and her mom won't be able to be there.
I'm torn because with all this COVID stuff, which I totally understand why, but it's just hard because my mom's not going to be able to be there and my sisters aren't going to be able to be at my birth. It's just going to be Austin and I, but hopefully we can get a room that has a window and maybe they can come see her through the window. That would be really special if they could at least see her the day she was born, because my parents have always been there for me and Austin's parents. So we'll see how that works out. Socks, car.
So she said that she's sad because Michelle can't be there, her sisters can't be there, Austin's parents won't be able to be there. Maybe they'll be able to get a window for their house or their room, and so that everyone can see the baby from their window. You know, when you're in the hospital, it's usually only a few days, as long as everything's good with the baby. You, as the mom, will go home right away. If the baby's okay, the baby will come home with you. Otherwise, sometimes they have to spend a few days extra if things are going on. So she said she's 35 weeks, meaning she's due in 5 weeks, meaning she's got about a month to go. So she packs her whole bag. She's got everything set up. And, you know, I find it interesting that this is the second time. Let's see. Abby Duggar, who is a nurse, she actually bypassed home and she gave birth in the hospital. Kendra actually gave birth in the hospital. Lauren gave birth in the hospital. And I think Anna has had her children at home. Jessa's had her children at home. I think Ginger had her baby in the hospital too. So it seems as though there's kind of a split here. And it's interesting because Michelle actually had to have several of her children in the hospital, especially her last one, who was a micro preemie, Josie. And she spent a long time in the ICU when she was getting ready to come home. So I don't necessarily, like, I know in this world there's like this sort of push for like anti-medicine, doing things as naturally as possible, not having to deal with the expenses of using a hospital. One of the things that people have often brought up is the insurance. Like, do the Duggars not have good insurance? What is the insurance issue? Like, why would they be so reluctant to use the hospital? So the only thing that I can think of is that they're self-employed. They have their house flipping business, and then they have, they're contracted through TLC, but TLC would not be offering them health insurance because typically with reality television, you're sort of like a 1099 employee. You are not a full-time employee. You are not offered benefits or 401ks or anything like that. So it's sort of like you work you work per the contract and then you're done. So in this case, her insurance would have to be either through like her husband, because Austin is also self-employed. So one of the things that they've always brought up is like, are they avoiding the hospital because of lack of insurance? That part I don't know. I doubt that they don't have insurance, but they might not have the best policies. They might have high deductibles. They might have, or they might have lower premiums and then not as high of care, so that they have to have a higher out-of-pocket expense. Jim Bob Duggar is like super thrifty and he does not like to spend any money. Even though he has a ton of it now, he's like loaded beyond belief and like doesn't like to spend money on anything. So that sort of frugalness has definitely like trickled down to the family. I don't know in this case, like with her first birth for Joy, was it a cost thing, or was it just that, I want to do things naturally. I want to be at home. I don't want to have to deal with that kind of stuff. I don't want to deal with mandated reporters. That's another thing that can happen in this world, is sometimes they don't want to deal with the hospitals because of the potential of having anyone outside of in the government that might, or that's mandated to report anything that could actually like do something. Not to say that they are doing anything wrong, but there is definitely a skepticism of sort of the overall secular world, the government, anyone that could potentially cause or inflict chaos into their lives via like a visit to CPS. Again, not saying anything here for Joy or Austin, but that can be a reason why you would avoid the hospital. I'm glad that she's following her doctor's recommendations. I'm glad, given what happened last summer, she is working with a team. The one thing that she did say was that she went to a chiropractor. So it appears as though she's doing a mix still of like naturalish, holistic stuff and a hybrid, where she also has a doctor at the hospital. So she's getting a mix of care. Maybe that's to sort of help her deal with the fact that she'll be in the hospital. I mean, I gotta give it to her for actually making the decision to go to a hospital. I'll say, not surprised that Abby made that choice because she's a nurse. The last time that when Abby gave birth in her birth special, Jessa was talking about for her next baby, because she's done every single birth at home, and she shouldn't. She probably should never do another one at home, because she's had 3 hemorrhages and she's had 3 complications, and she's had to go by ambulance to the hospital for transfusions, Pitocin, all of that. So Jessa was like joking, and the other girls are sort of like going, you have to do an epidural, And I don't remember if Joy was a part of that or not, but we'll have to see if whether or not Joy decides to use meds. She didn't say if she's going to be doing natural in the hospital, because you can still not do meds in the hospital. You can still, the great thing today is that they allow you to kind of do whatever you want. You can move around, you can walk around, you can get the drugs, you can not get the drugs, you can go as long as you want. I personally went as long as I possibly could. I tried it. Oh God, you guys, I tried it. I tried to go natural. It was so not my thing though. So I went into labor on a Wednesday and Tuesday, and I didn't give birth until Thursday evening at 9:00. Yes, it was the longest, almost 3 days, 2 days, 2.5 days of my life. And I did not actually give in and need anything until like a day and a half in. And it was such excruciating pain. And then by the time I actually delivered my son, everything that I was using no longer was working. So I had a very natural birth in that respect. And it was painful. So anyone that does not use meds, tip your hats off to you, because I know what that feels like and it's not fun. But the payoff is worth it in the end, whether you use medication or not, because you get that baby, and you get the baby that you've been carrying for such a long time and you've wanted so much. So it's exciting for her to have her second child. I am starting to wonder if Joy's going to be part of this group that has a zillion kids. She's really young. She's already got one child. She's only 21 or 22 years old, on to number 2. Think about that. She's already on her second child, and this is her 3rd pregnancy. That's wild to me. So I don't know if she's going to follow like Anna Duggar, where she's already got 6, and you know Anna's going to have more. Anna's only in her early 30s. I would guess Anna has 10. I would literally guess that Anna has a minimum of 10 children. I would also guess that Jessa and Ben have a minimum of 10 children too. Now, Ben and Jessa were actually talking about how they wanted to do adoption for their 4th kid. I don't know about that. They're a Duggar adoption. Can you imagine? Wild. So what do you think? Joanna going into the doctor. Do you think she's going to use meds? Is she going to go natural? What do you think? Is she breaking the Duggar rules? She's breaking the Duggar tradition? Why is it a Duggar tradition? Why is it a Duggar tradition when Michelle literally had half her kids in the hospital? It's not really a tradition if you didn't even follow it yourself. All right, you guys, so tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye.